So
welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian community's movers and shakers. Join our hosts, Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, King Bob Wen, hashtag I Believe Sarah Wright, and Dr. Valeri Colon, as well as the Jira Amigos in the peanut galleries, as we sit down and discuss the latest going on in the Atlassian ecosystem. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life, the Jira Life chose us. Thank you to Revise for backing us up and helping us cover Team 25.
live! And we're live now at Team 25 here in Anaheim, California.
Whoop, whoop.
On the trade show floor, I have a special guest with me. This is Evan from a large nonprofit association. And of course, we have our Jira Life crew. Say hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
Hi, crew.
And Evan.
Don't give engineering requirements. We'll call it.
Yeah. All right. Did you submit a ticket?
Yes.
Evan, tell us about your experience with Atlassian and why did you come today?
So I have used Atlassian, installed it, administered it for about 15 years. Started out with on-prem. We had a brief stint with data center. Didn't really like that. And then when the opportunity for cloud came, we jumped on that, looking to get off some aging Linux servers in a data center. So we've gone from 15 years ago using Confluence and Jira at the time. There was no software. And you had to have the plugin to have service desk, all the way to using everything that Atlassian offers now, the whole suite, Compass, JSM, unfortunately not Bitbucket. We were moved on to GitHub. That's okay. So we're running everything and really looking to expand how we utilize that, looking at a holistic approach from like ideation all the way through delivery.
Is there something that you're really, really excited for, that you're really hoping for from teams?
I think the big thing that I'm looking to learn a little bit about, I think there's two things, right? One is I want to hear a little bit more about Rovo,
Okay.
the AI. But for me personally, we are still not leveraging Compass for what it can do for DevOps and Dora. We're still using Jira components. I really want to move to Compass components.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's a longer thread to pull, but we're going to get there. So I'm kind of interested to see all the integrations there, right, and how we do that. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So you mentioned that we were on data center and then we moved off. What was it about data center that had you moving?
It wasn't, a lot of it, again, was this whole, our organization is under a lot of, our organization was under a big, everything was on-prem. We had no cloud footprint at all we want to move everything out of data center, stop paying for that, and start moving to the cloud. And so a big thing was, hey, let's evaluate that. And the whole Atlassian SaaS model for us started with, I moved 2 projects from on-prem to cloud and started running production. So we have a model that we run where we had a JSM instance tied to a backend software instance, right? So we would intake problems, triage through JSM, and then move them into software for development. And so this tiny little whole ecosystem I pulled out into the cloud. We sort of piloted it there, and then everybody else said, "Hey, yeah, this works.
Yeah.
Let's figure out how to move everything else."
We get
there.
new stuff, right? New features
we
that you
can
get
do
to
stuff,
explore.
we did, yes.
So as you're moving from server or data center to cloud, are there things that you had on an on-prem environment that you're struggling with in a cloud environment?
One of the biggest differences I noticed, I think we've sort of overcome it in a lot of it. I think this is a testament to Atlassian, but I had written a whole smattering of custom Ruby scripts on our on-prem server for workflows.
Yes.
Yep.
When we went to cloud, I was like, wait, I lose all of my Ruby scripts that do all these things for our workflows, extract data out. But their automations, the built-in automations that Jira has, hands down, cloud so much better than on-prem.
Nice, right?
Right. I mean, I was even using like issue collectors in on-prem or in server, if you remember those, to pull in
Right.
Yes.
customized issue collector. I don't know that we really lost a whole lot. One of the things, this has been solved with webhooks. One of the things that we did, I used to make custom API calls because it was on-prem to an on-prem service that I
Yep.
wrote.
All right.
Webhooks kind of solved that. So
I love the struggle that I see on you. You're like, what did I lose?
Yeah.
What did I lose?
Right.
Right?
That speaks to the ecosystem, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because like during the process, I'm sure everybody's like, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose that. You know, and they have a list of things. And then who knows how quickly it happens afterwards. But then you start to struggle and you're like, what was life like before cloud? And really, did we lose anything? Because now we're so hyper focused on all those benefits we're gaining and all the other ways we can do that, that potentially, I'm going to guess, scale a little bit better too in a lot of ways.
absolutely. And the same thing you just said, you know, every time I make an SDLC change, right? So like, man, we're going to have a couple groups of people, right? Some people are just going to, they're not even going to know because they won't pay attention.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have people that we got to drag kicking and screaming. And then 3 months down the road, they'll be like, wait, how did we used to do it? And that's kind of the same thing, right? We lost some stuff when we went to cloud.
Yeah.
I just don't remember what it is because we don't use it anymore.
Right. It's
So
kind of like,
we found better ways.
yeah, that fast news cycle. We talk about how people have short-term memories, but in this case, sometimes that works for us.
Absolutely.
So if you were talking to another large nonprofit association, what advice would you give if they make that transition over to the cloud?
I mean, absolutely, you won't regret it. I mean, it's the functionality that you get with cloud over server and data center is anything that you would lose, you're going to regain in a different way, in a better way. Again, scalability, maintainability. You know, all the Groovy scripts I talked about come at a cost because I'm the only one that knows how to maintain them.
Right.
Automations can be tricky, but they're much easier. We have some non-technical people that have either gone in and written some automations. So I think, you know, if you're afraid to take the leap, don't be. It's definitely worth it. I mean, you, like I said, you won't even look back.
Perfect.
I'm over here looking right from here, folks. I'm sorry you can't see it, but I'm over here looking at the Formula One race car over there, right? And I'm thinking about cars. And one of the things we talk about with cars is total cost of ownership. And that's a little bit what I'm hearing you talk about as well. Those groupie scripts, you had to maintain those, right? And, you know, it's one of those things like, what if you didn't show up for work one day? How is all of it going to run? And so, again, something else that happens with cloud, total cost of ownership. I'm going to let you finish that sentence.
Well, it just your total cost of ownership goes down, but it also allowed more people. It's more user friendly. Like, to be honest, when you're running like an on-prem like that, it still requires a component of understanding. Like, so you know, you have to have somebody that understands the database. You have to have somebody that understands Linux, where it was installed and it was running under Apache. And so there's all those things. And like I said, you get to cloud and you don't have that. The automated patching. I just have us on. I don't even roll ours monthly, right? I mean, we're just when they come out, new things come on. So, you know, every Monday I log into Atlassian. I'm like, oh, hey, that's different.
It's like Easter eggs. Oh,
But-
look, there's that thing that changed. That's better.
But, you know, because you get to a point where you get so far behind that, like, to try to upgrade becomes a massive task when you're on-prem and you do it yourself. Cloud, you just let them do it for you. And we've not really run into anything that I'm like, oh, I wish they hadn't turned that on. You know, they do a good job of knowing what they roll out. Like, it's tested and vetted, and it's been a good experience for us.
And Evan, I kind of hijacked you before, just as you walked into the conference room floor. What are you interested in seeing on the floor in the Expo Center?
I want to go around to some of the booths. I always like the integrations area. I got to go find some of my friends over at Adaptivist that help with some of our cloud move a little bit. We use them as kind of sounding boards for some knowledge. So I'll go find the Adaptivist people. But really, I don't know. I like to be here. You know, I came to Team 22 was the first one I came to. I was supposed to come to Team 20 and then COVID stopped that. So Team 22, and truthfully, like I think the whole event changed my outlook on my career, what I do. I've tried to tell people, well, the reason I tried to get people to come here is I said, it's not an IT conference. It's not a developer conference. It's not, you know, oh, I don't write code, I'm going to be lost. Like, it's just a very like one of the talks I went to, that first one was how a credit union, it was just one of the small experts, right? A credit union implemented JSM and Jira to take on, customer service and how they were changing things. And it was a lady that ran a credit union that was like, I have no background in software engineering. And that's what I try to tell people. Like, it's just it's more of like, this is how you run a business that has to do with IT.
Yes, we frame it in the workflows, in the work itself.
Yes.
Not that you can't find the coders here. The coders and the engineers are here. It's just we speak on a very practical level.
Oh yeah, they're here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very friendly. I've been to a lot of conferences where, like, I've been a software developer for 16 years, and I've sat at them and I'm like, that was so far over my head. I don't even know what half the stuff that they just talked about is. So it's a very, like, I would say anybody from any walk of life, anywhere in business, whether they're a developer, a manager, business analyst, it's from that, anything that you are. You can absolutely take so much away from this conference. It has nothing to do with IT.
There are two things you said, Evan, that I want to riff on for just a second. One, I think I heard you say, you're finding your friends. You're finding your friends at this and that and the other thing. And one of the things we talk about a lot, with Atlassian is the community, how strong the community is, how people show up for the community. And then the partners that you work with, whether they're providing apps for you, whether they're solution partners, in a way they become, friends in a way. Frankly, I've cried at the end of some of my client engagements, admittedly. I cry a lot, y'all. But because, you go through something together, and then even in here, you find friends like summer camp. So love that. And then the second thing you're talking about, which is one of the reasons I also like coming here and doing this, is that technical thing, that it is, the new, it's Jira for everybody. It's Jira for all teams. It is not Jira for DevOps. Now, I know some folks are challenged a little bit with some of the change and some of the changes like work items and issues and whatnot. But tell us more about what you think about with Jira for all and what that means to you.
Listen, I love it, and I'm a big proponent of it. I heard you guys talking about, is there a ticket? The teams that I work on, my team is kind of a hybrid team. So I have DevOps engineers under me. We have site reliability engineers in our group, QA in our group, and then there's also a software development team in that group. So we have totally separate departments with software development team, but we have one in our group too. And we've got all of them using Jira. I actually do, I'm gonna probably get yelled at for using the old name, but Jira Work Management was this category that we used to call it.
JWM, JSM,
But
JS,
I did,
yeah.
we had groups that were we had our UX engineers using ClickUp, and we had part of people using ServiceNow to do this stuff, and we consolidated everybody into Jira, started taking the bane of my existence, people using Smart Sheets, 19 different things to manage. We've now got our product team using JPD.
Oh, excellent.
Right? And so I'm actually very excited. I was going to talk to them about it. There's a much tighter integration with JPD and software now.
Yes.
Because before it was just kind of here's your product discovery, software's over
Roll
here.
it. Yeah, here you go.
And
Catch.
so they've already rolled some things. So I'm interested to learn a little bit about that, because our product team is very active. I mean, they're all over. I gave them a Jira product discovery project and was like, here, let me know if you want help. And they asked a couple questions, and it's full blown. They're doing all their stuff.
So again, getting back to total cost of ownership, right? When you can get a product like Jira Product Development, hand it off to that team that's not technical, because how often do we hear, I hate Jira, right? And it's all about just experiencing it and trying it out and being able to find things. But when you're able to hand the product over to a team, then they formulate it and they do what they need to do with it, and then not come back and need all of that support from somebody. All your costs lower, right? You're not the mental cost of doing it, right? The anxiety cost of doing it. And then so many increases everywhere else when you're able to implement something like that.
Yeah, and just in efficiencies too, right? I mean, how inefficient is it to, take tasks, put them in a spreadsheet or smart sheets, right? And then you pull them out in the software, you work on them, and then they report back, and you update a spreadsheet to tell somebody, right? And I'm like, that's crazy, because we can just track, why not track it in the system that we do it in? So, plans. Yes. We're using plans. I tried to eradicate smart sheets with plans.
So we're gonna shameless plug here. Can we shameless plug? Yeah, shameless plug.
plans.
Yeah, I got a session where we're going to be talking about plans at Thursday, so make sure you come by for that. But yeah, plans is, I've been doing something very similar, and I added an automation rule because one of the features that Smartsheets can do is you can do a status column, right?
Okay.
People want to be able to not necessarily use a Jira status, but just status and update on their thing. So what I've been doing is I take the last comment that was added, put it in a short text field at the top that can then be displayed in a list view or the Jira plan view. And as long as they keep it to a tweet, which is good, it shows up and they're able to leverage that. So definitely found a use case there to get folks off of Smartsheets.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because sometimes it is about letting people use the tools that they're familiar with, but that ability to integrate all of them, right? Which is what a lot of the partners here today are going to be talking about is how do we help those folks?
Yeah. And I mean, we also used kind of in that, we sort of latched on and started using goals.
Yes.
I've been trying to get them to put like OKRs in so we can have that.
Yes.
But one of our new product launch teams that is using product discovery is also using goals,
Yes.
right? So
Roll them all
I
up.
told them
Yep.
exactly. So why are we doing it in 19 different things? And also I said, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to remember every person on this email chain that needs this update to the project that you're working on, and then somebody gets mad and Valerie's like, hey, you didn't put me on the email. And I'm like, hey,
Right.
sorry. I've showed them, like, just show them here's where it is.
Or-
Tell them how they can subscribe or follow
Yes.
it. You can follow it for them.
Yeah, or the 10 people who are on the email and they're just like, can you please take me off this email chain? I don't know how to get off this email chain. And then they get
Absolutely.
back on and then you fill up their inboxes with useless noise that they don't need. You might spam them. I don't know. They could be considering some of
Alex,
that spam.
you might spam.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying you might know something about spam. But I'm also, I don't know about anybody else. I am hearing like next year's talk. I feel like there's a whole talk coming out of Evan that he's going to have to submit for next year.
I mean,
You got the whole
I
thing.
can't. Evan and I work together,
Uh-huh.
so it is a little biased if I brag on Evan, but he is amazing. Don't steal him from me. I would
Right.
like to continue to work.
Yeah, his
working with him.
tag's hidden. You don't know his name. He's
Yes.
just Evan.
Just
Right.
Evan. But Bob, you've been quiet. What's on your mind? What are you thinking here?
So the last thing I was thinking about when Evan was talking about goals was you want to follow the trail, and having
like that.
goals and being able to tie goals to actual Jira issues and see whether or not that that goal was accomplished by looking at the statuses of the Jira issues underneath is just chef's coats.
Absolutely.
Right. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It gives a great view, again, visibility to like, I go back to what we just talked about with plans, right? Our CTO doesn't care about stories and subtasks, right? He doesn't care. He might not even care about epics. I'm not sure. And I'm not saying state epics, I'm talking ours, but
Yeah, it's not features or
he
yeah.
might not care about those, right? So we're working on building different layers of views for like what people care about. And for goals, I'm trying to pitch to them like, hey, this is self-service. Like, go find the things that you care about, and you can follow
Absolutely.
what you. I'm not going to determine what you care about. Maybe,
Yes.
maybe we've got this entire business unit of managers, and there's 5 of them, and 4 of them don't care about this one thing, but 1 of them does. Okay, so let that person follow that, and then we don't have to spam that whole email list when
Right.
4/5 of them don't care.
When people change teams, right? And how often do people change teams, right? And then they're just like, so a poor admin has to go in and start moving
And
all
they're
of
like, hey, I'm not
their
on that
groups,
anymore.
all their
That email alias is wrong. So this is just the
Yes.
self-service is nice. We're teaching people to be self-sufficient too, because there's again overhead in me having to manage all those different things. I'm giving people the keys. I want them like, go find what you need. Here's the link to the page. You can filter these goals based on tags.
And
you
it's
follow
really,
whatever you want.
it's a choose your own adventure. So one of the big initiatives that we have going on this year is being data driven and having those KPIs and measuring our success. But sometimes those change. And what was a priority yesterday is not a priority today. And so now you can follow the data. So like, oh, we hit this at the park. Let's change our priorities to something else. Or, oh, we didn't know that this was an issue.
Yeah.
Let's track that one instead. And instead of doing a whole massive redesign, structure, pulling everything, which would distract us from doing some of the other things that we could do, it's that much more easy.
So see, I'm staring over at that F1 car, and I'm imagining that F1 car being able to take those turns, right? Just like you're talking about, you can easily take those turns, avoid crashing, of course. But all those
I'm
things are
going to
going
be
to be in
staring at
place.
that F1 car a lot this
Oh, I
this team,
know.
just for some different reasons.
Oh,
but
I
it's
know.
Are you trying
really
to drive it
nice.
off the lot? What do you have going on there, Robert?
Nothing.
King?
Nothing
What are you
I
doing
can say
here?
right now.
Whoa, we're gonna chat.
I've seen him
my-
driving. He's not going to get very far.
And I've been
What?
in your car, so dude.
I'm sorry. Correction. Alex's cars.
Yes. So there's a simulator
shots
over there.
are.
I think we're gonna have to get the
Redact
two
that.
of them in the simulators next to each other and really like.
Oh, we
We
can
can
race each other.
solve
There's
this.
a sim. Did you see
Yes.
that?
Back behind the car.
All right, we're taking
Yes.
bets now. Who is
Right.
going to win?
Vote now. If you
Bob
vote,
It's your amigos. Poll.
yes.
Put a poll up, and then am I gonna take you down, Sarah?
Am I game on, sister?
All right, let's
You know it.
Women in tech.
Yes.
Hold it down.
We got
We
that.
gotta remind people every now
But-
and then.
I do feel like this is a good time probably to point out though, what would happen if we know what happens if a Formula One car crashes, right? They're out of the race for that day, right? They can't go back on after they crash. What happens if our Jira crashes? Or what happens if there's a problem with Jira? What would we do?
I mean, we would have an emergency session.
Exactly.
The
What
Jira
could we
Life.
count on if something like that happened?
Some sort of a backup, maybe?
Backup.
Oh, I love that segue.
A
you guys are
backup would be
brilliant.
amazing. So how would we back that up?
Well, there's a lot of different options out there, but one that comes to mind, Wright has these amazing socks.
And these vests.
And these vests. So, yeah, check out Revise and make sure you're backing up your Jira. And every once in a while, when you need to restore, you know you're in good hands.
You know, one thing I learned about these vests, which I didn't even think about, I just thought, oh, they're so fun, right? Formula One. But what was pointed out to me, these are technical safety vests, right? So if
They're
you think
actually
about
usable.
yeah, they are high-vis, they are safety vests. So, you know, when we think about Revise, it's going to help keep us out of trouble. It's going to keep us safe, not the, you know,
So
like you were talking about, safe.
there's actually one good thing about Revise that they're offering this year, and that is that you can bring your own storage. An
Wow.
important part of this is sometimes the security people at your company may not like the idea of having your backup data in another company's cloud. And so with this option where you can say, we'll have backups, but they're just going to reside in our cloud, that takes care of a whole mess of security concerns.
That's amazing.
And that has just been introduced by Revise just before Team.
I mean, I think that's.
I wish I
huge.
had real like
That's
confetti
a-
to throw, right?
It's a serious. I mean, it's a valid concern. I mean, it's one of the ones that we battle on a daily basis with all the SaaS products. Is where's our data going to be stored? You know, how do we know that it's safe? So I
Right. And especially if you have regulations like HIPAA or you know, other privacy and security.
yes.
All right. So one of the things we do before we close every session of the Jira Life is have our special guest say our tagline.
We
I
do.
didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose me.
I didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose me.
All right. How are we on time?
We got a couple minutes.
We've got
So-
10 minutes
I said it was
actually.
stupid.
Just to tell all the Jira amigos out there, Team is going on. We have definitely kicked off in a good racing position. As I'm gonna get
Position one.
those racing.
I love it. We're
Metaphors
working
in
on it. Hunt it up.
The expo hall is open here until 8 p.m.
Yes.
and then that's when the parties start. And then tomorrow, as far as TJL coverage goes, I believe our good friend and co-host Rodney has his own
Live stream.
little special live stream session where he is going to live stream the keynote.
All right.
Did you
And then-
mention 124 though? If you're at Team 25, come to booth 124.
That's correct.
All right.
We
Just
guys
wanna
have
make sure
booth
that.
124. And then tomorrow, Tomorrow we'll be back. We're going to give our impressions of the keynote.
But we're
All
not
right.
quite done yet, though. We have just a minute or two left, and we want to talk to Jorge.
All right, venga.
Talk about a backup and restore operation, folks. True story based on true events. I've been 200 times to Disneyland. I've never had to take a backup. I've never lost my data. I've never lost anybody at Disneyland until my good friend Jorge decided to get lost. Luckily, we had a backup. Luckily, we had a backup plan. We had LinkedIn. We were able to find a message, and we were able to restore each other fairly quickly. But this is why you want a backup. 200 times. I never would have thought I would have lost someone. So always have your backup. But Jorge, you're here. What are you excited about?
Well, to be honest, this year, a lot of good news around Robo, I think. Plus DAS, I think F1 sponsorship, it's just a really good news for everyone because it shows how Atlassian it's improving and how they want to invest in upgrading the brand and the products. So I'm really excited to see all the news that are going to be related to Atlassian Intelligence and Robo, because I think there are a lot of around this. And to see if we have some surprises around F1 on the today's keynote.
Awesome. Anything else you'd like to let us know here? What's on your mind? What's your backup strategy look like?
Well, we are, in fact, at Inlogic, we are sponsors of Revis. So we use Revis, so customers use Revis. And I think it's really important because there is an important sentence around this, and this, your data on cloud is not secured by anyone better than you. So
Right.
you have to secure your data always, because you don't know when something
You never
can be
know.
broken.
You never know.
And at the end, Atlassian is just providing you they ensure that Jira is always available.
Right.
But if you lose some data, you should be the responsible for storing this data and back up the data. So
Yeah, you never know when you're gonna go out shopping, look away for a second, and all of a sudden 15 people in your crew are gone.
exactly.
How do you lose 15 people? I don't know, but at least you had a backup. All right. Well, have you had a chance to do our signature tagline? We didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us. Have you recorded it before?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're good.
And I can say that Jira Life chose me.
Okay.
No, I didn't choose the Jira Life,
Well, Jorge,
but I don't regret
I
about
missed
it.
your name.
Evan.
Evan, thank you so much for being on the Jira Life.
Thank you, guys.
This is day one of Team 25. We are booth 124. So if you're watching this recording, make sure you stop by booth 124. Our good friends, we got Sankit, Vish. They're here to help you out. They're here to answer all your data security, data privacy, backups, governance, whatever you got going on. Vish has an answer for you. So if you're concerned about what's going on with your backups, come get answers from the experts. They got you covered. And hopefully you never have to restore, but it's good to know it's there if you need it.
All right, Jira amigos. Catch you tomorrow.
We didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira Guy, Nissen. You can find Alex on YouTube at 8Tech Tutorials, and Rodney's blog is found over at thejiraguy.com. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us live as we record this podcast every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and our other Jira amigos of the Peanut Gallery every week to ask your questions, let us know your comments, and just tell us what you're up to. But if you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay over on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. We're also available as a podcast over on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen to it and think it deserves a rating, we would very much appreciate it, as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.